Okay, so in our last video we actually brought in some parts. We talked first of all about how to save the parts before we actually brought them into SketchUp. Remember to save the parts to your folder first and then go to the File Import option. We placed this front wheel in. The car is upside down, which is fine. We also have the X-ray tool turned on. So let's bring in another part, maybe two more parts. I do need a second front wheel. Obviously I could use a copy tool, but the easiest thing to do is just to go to File, Import. Once again, make sure the file's of type. It should already be set, but it's set to SketchUp, SKP. And let me bring in another front wheel. Now obviously this wheel is not in the direction I want it to be, so let me just first place it somewhere close to my drawing. So I'm just going to click. Okay, obviously it needs to be flipped. It needs to be pointing in the opposite direction. So I right click on it, just right click on the object, and you'll notice you have something called Flip Along. This always takes a little bit of getting used to, but I know that I'm going to flip it along the green axis, which will actually flip it 180 degrees. So I'm going to click on Components, Green. Okay, there it is. Like we did in the previous video, I'm going to turn X-ray on. I'm going to zoom in really close here. I'm going to hover around the component, find center. Okay, once again, getting the right perspective is key here. Okay, I'm going to click. Now I need to do the same thing along this outer circle here. So I need to hover around that circle. Once again, this sometimes can be easier, it could be a little time consuming. There we go. Found center. I'm going to click again. I'm going to back out. I'm going to look at this from a different perspective. And I can just tell just by looking at this that I got it right on. I can also turn X-ray off. I can see there's the axle, there's the washer, there's the wheel. Perfect. Now we're not going to worry about adding straw spacers for this project. It's going to go with what we have here. Now let me go ahead and take my car. I can rotate it. Let me zoom out here. Okay, it's starting to look a little bit more like a car. Let me bring in that 30-tooth gear. That'll be my next step. So I'm going to go to File, Import, 30-tooth gear. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and place it right over here for right now. Okay, now we know that this gear went somewhere in here, and then we had the large wheel next to it. So there's a reason why I'm putting the gear in next. Okay, so once again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of hover here, and I'm going to find center. I'm going to click. I'm always going to make sure X-ray is turned on. This makes my life so much easier. Use that hand tool. Okay, and even though I'm in hand, I can hit M again and go back to move. Once again, things can get a little confusing here, but they make a little bit more sense when it's your drawing. Now I'm going to find center. I'm going to try that one more time. Let me make sure I do have this the way I want it. There's a lot going on here, a lot on the screen. So let me make sure I find center. So once again, getting the right perspective. Getting the right perspective is important here. Let me hover, hover, hover. There we go. Gonna click. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and back out. Perfect. Okay. Once again, what I'd like to do is I like to turn off X-ray, and that's what I want. I want to see a gear that's right against that washer. Now, depending on what you think you might need to do next, as I'm looking at this, I'm kind of making a decision right now that maybe I want to do P for push-pull. Maybe I'll even push that axle all the way through. Because again, if I just go ahead and touch the face of this gear and click, it might make it easier then when I bring in my larger wheels next. Okay, so I think you're starting to see how this kind of is going to come together. I put my larger wheels on next, one here, one on the opposite side. Then from that point I could do my battery holder, my breadboard, my LEDs, and I would probably want to consider using the tape measure and measuring the object that's in my hand, my AEV, to make sure that I'm putting things in precise location. So save your work, and let's watch the next video.